There's a Divi 5 feature that I want to share with you in this video. Now, since it was released, I haven't really used it, but when I started playing around with it, I realized that it has superpowers. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is we're going to design this hero area here, and then I'm going to show you how this superpower that I'm talking about is really beneficial in your design workflow. So let's get started and let's design all this from scratch. So what I'm going to do is to first of all delete this section, and we're going to start off with a single column. Now in this column, we're going to add a few elements. So the first thing we need to add here is our text, and then we need to add a heading, which is right here. And then after the heading, we're going to add our two buttons, which need to be side by side. So I'm going to click here on this plus button. And in order for us to have our two buttons to be side by side, we need to have them in a group. Okay, without that, it's going to be very difficult for us to make sure those buttons are side by side. So I'm going to go ahead and select the group, and then it's time now to add our buttons. So I'm going to click here to add our first button. Now with this button here, I'm just going to go in and stylize it. So I'm going to come over here to the top and just name this main button. Okay, so now it's easier for me to duplicate it. So we're at a stage now where we need these buttons side by side. So in order for us to achieve that, we need to use Flexbox. So we're going to click here on this group settings, and then over here, we're going to go to design, layout, and this is where we need to change our direction to row. Okay. Now, of course, we can have this design over there to the left, but we can also have it, over to the right. So what I'm going to do is, for this example, I'm going to have everything over to the left. So let's go to our lorem text here, because I want to use a bit of this dummy text because I don't like typing a lot. It takes me a long time to type. So we're going to go in and replace this. Now, if you haven't noticed, I triple clicked so that I can go in and paste my text in here. So since we have heading activated, it's easy for us to now go in and set our heading. Okay, so to set our heading, let's just first of all close this. We're going to go to our heading text and set this to heading 1. So now you can see our heading is nice and big. And now we need to work on our paragraph text. So to achieve that, we're going to come over here. We're just going to grab a bunch of texts like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing, triple click in here and paste. So now I have my text in here. I'm just going to drag this below the heading, right? So everything is all in place now. So what I need to do next is to make sure that my row is set correctly. So I'm going to come over here and set this to text row. Okay, so now you see everything is close here to the middle. So what we can do at this stage is to make sure that everything is all centered so that we achieve our design. So first of all, I'm going to come over here to my group settings, and then I'm going to center everything. I'm going to come over here to my text, and I'm also going to center it. But with the text, it's not centered on the Flexbox options. We need to go to our sizing and alignment. Oops, that didn't work. Let me go back and center it. Okay, so let's go into our text here, and we're going to do it this way. Okay, next we're going to come over here to our heading, design, heading texts, and we're also going to center this. So far, so good. The next step now is to come over here and give this a bit of padding, right? Because at the moment, we don't have enough padding around this design. So what I'm going to do in this example, because normally I use a design system. I have a design system called Crafter Pro where I have all my sizes for my paddings, for my sections and so on, all pre-built for me. So in this example here, and I'm just going to do it, just once. This is not good practice. I'm going to show you how to go in and add these values. All right. So if you wanted to add some padding in here, what you would do is you would make sure that our section setting here is selected, and then you go to your spacing, and this is where you want to add your padding, top and bottom. So let's say you say 12 rem, you hit enter. You can see now we have a lot of spacing to the top and the bottom, right? But this is not responsive. And you can see here when I go to my tablet, the space is way too big. And if I do that as well, it's just terrible, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this, and we're just going to use a preset that comes in with Crafter Pro. So I'm going to leave, Crafter. I'm going to leave that in the link in the video description below. It is absolutely free. It is a minimal version of our design system. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now we have a full screen. Okay, so with the full screen now, I'm going to go back in here and add a background image. So I'm going to come over here, click on a background image, and then I'm going to add my image. So this is the image I'm going to go with, and I'm going to say upload. Right, so now we have this beautiful image. Okay, let's add another section so we can see where it ends. Okay, great. So now that we have this, so far so good. What we need to do now is to use the superpower that I was telling you about. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the top, and we're going to choose canvas grid. Okay, so I'm going to select that. So now I'm going to duplicate this like this, duplicate canvas. Now we have two versions. So what I'm going to do now is to further customize version 1. So with this, I'm going to go in and make sure my text is easier to read. So I'm going to come over here. Okay, making sure this is set to H1. Oops. Okay. So what we need to do is to set our color. So I'm going to come over here to our heading text color. I'm going to set it to this light gray. And then I'm going to do the same thing to our description text. I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to go into my variable and choose my color like that. So the only thing I need to do is to make sure that this is set to body text. All right. So now that I have this set, it's time now to make sure we have great contrast, because our background here is still too bright. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here to content, and then we're going to go to our background. So in order for us to achieve this, we first of all need to add a really dark color. So we have black here, and then on the image, we need to add what are known as blending modes. So we're going to come over here and choose our blending mode, and it's going to be multiply. So at first glance, it's going to be really dark. So what we need to do now is to go back to our background color, okay, and we need to add some transparency. So I'm going to click and drag the slider down, and you can see as I'm dragging the slider, it is getting lighter and lighter, and it's 0%. So let me bring it back up. So I think 62 may work fine for this. Now my contrast is great. I can read everything clearly. So for this version, I think I'm great. I'm going to save that. Oops, we're going to save that. And then it's time now to work on version 2. So we're going to go back to our canvas preview, and already we can see that in our preview here, this one is the darker version, and this one here is the one we need to work on. So I'm going to select it. So we are going to do the opposite of what we did. Okay, so I'm going to select my image here, and then we're going to go to section settings, background. So for this background, I want to do something different. I'm going to go to my gradient. Okay, so with my gradient selected, I'm going to click here and add my first color, and my first color is going to be this very dark black. Okay, my second color is going to be black, but with transparency all the way down to about, let's say, 14%. Now, right now we can't see anything, okay, because we haven't placed the gradient above the background image. So we need to click on this little icon here, and now you can see that our gradient is working. So over there at the top, it can be really dark, and we can move these sliders, sliders around. Okay, so all we need to do now is to go in and make sure that our text is set to light. So I'm going to come over here, choose our text color like that. We're going to do the same here. We're going to go in and go to our text, choose our color, gray 100. Okay, so this is slightly different. To gain our contrast, we added a gradient here, and the gradient is now at least, covering the top of the image. So that is great. What I'm going to do next is to come over here, and we're going to do another version. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this. So with this version now, it's a copy of a copy. Now notice that I can add so many canvases here. So here I can do a totally different design. So I'm going to go in, and we're going to do the opposite of what we've just done here. So let's go ahead and make sure that we add a background. We're going to get rid of this like that. Oops, I got rid of the image. Okay, we need the image. Sorry about that, but we need to get rid of the gradient. But what we're going to do different here is we're going to add a white background. So we're going to click here and oops. So let's choose white from here. Okay, so that's our white background. And then over here, we're going to go to our blend modes, and we are going to go to soft light. Now, do you notice that everything has gone white pretty much? So what we need to do next is to come back to this one, and we're again, like what we did, we're going to start bringing it back ever so slightly like that. Maybe 70 could work, right? And then we're going to come over here and change our text color. So since we have a very light background, we're going to go in and change this color here to primary 700, and we're also going to do the same here. We're going to go in and choose, and this is the text, by the way, so let's change this to primary 700. Okay, so our contrast is way much better here, but we can also do what we did before, add a gradient or white gradient, and then it will show what's on the bottom here. So as you can see, I have different variations, and at any given time, if I want to sort of change my style, I can just activate the one that I want by clicking on these three little dots here, and then I can say make main canvas. So if I do that, that becomes my main canvas, and that has saved me a lot of time. So this is very powerful if you're working with clients and you want to show them the different versions of your designs, and this would work really great. So you can do this on on hero areas, you can do it on all sorts of parts of your page. In fact, you can build a whole page and then have different variations. Sometimes you can have a dark version or a light version. It's pretty much up to you how you use this. But the most important takeaway here is you are able to go in and design variations which are stored into the canvas of Divi 5, and you can access them anytime. And you can also export the complete page, including its canvases. Let me show you what that looks like. So let's say I want to export this. I can come over here, and you see that it says include all global canvases. If I select that and share this design, whoever imports it is going to have these different versions. This technique is very, very powerful, and I highly recommend that you start using it. I have a lot more tips and tutorials in my course. It's called the Divi 5 Mastery course. In fact, I've created a part 2 or a second version of this course because a lot has been added to Divi 5 when I created the Divi 5 Mastery, which is the first course. And as you can see, it has 1,297 students. And this one here, since launch yesterday, it already has 80 students. So it is growing really fast. This course teaches you everything that you need to know about Divi 5, and if you like my teaching style, you are going to enjoy this course because I teach you pretty much the workflow and everything that you need to know, saving you hours and hours of going on to YouTube and finding out how Divi 5 works. As you know, Divi 5 has been built from the ground up. So a quick way to design your websites is by going through a step-by-step process of learning the system. And the system is in Divi 5 Mastery. Now, this course only goes for $37. It's on a special discount, so go ahead and purchase that. And if I add more, or when I add more lessons and more sections, you won't need to pay any extra. Whatever you pay for now is pretty much what will stay as your initial price. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.